Why tax liens? The easiest way to earn returns of 10 to 25%, and in some places such as Texas, up to about a 50% rate of return on your money. Like we've said before, I feel like I'm beating the dead horse, but again, it is one of the safest investments. You can do it from home, and one of the least understood investments available, which is actually good for us. Why tax deeds? Least understood foreclosure on the market today. You do acquire property. I'll show you some examples of 10% to 15% of market value. Lowest opening bid, no reserves, and again, from home. Why now? The main reason why now is the internet. And it's our ability to do research from home to find the data that allows us to make an educated decision on a deal. We'll teach you how to sort through lists. We'll show you what to look for. We'll show you how to implement systems that makes this investment not only doable, but the returns are incredible. County websites are all online right now. Not a lot of them. Some of them are still stuck in the prehistoric dinosaur era, I swear. But some of them are starting to get back up, getting there, and we'll let you know which ones are having auctions and when. And the other reason why now is the type of property that you can pick up. This right here is a single family home. This one is in Florida. The current value on this property was right around $55,000. The rental monthly average, $800 to $1,150. How do you get these numbers, people ask? Zillow.com, one of the best places. You should always have that tab open in your browser as you're doing your research through your lists. And again, we'll show you how to do your research. Class, this home right here sold for $8,500. When we talk about picking up property and selling it quickly, do you think you could take that property right there, put it out onto the open market as is at maybe $20,000? Of course you can. Single family home, again, Florida. This one was built in 2005. Current value on this property, $120,000. This property right here sold for $22,000. The investor who purchased this property walked away with a $120,000 asset for $22,000. It's a no-brainer. Single family home, this one is in California. Current value on this property is $165,000. Again, we're in California. The rents are a little higher, $1,000 to $1,250. This one sold for $23,000 at a auction in California. So let's go through the property tax base. Now, when we have, let's look at this as the three parties involved, or maybe just the two parties involved, and where and why we have property taxes. Now, property taxes, we have to pay them. It's the law. We always have to pay property taxes. When we pay our property taxes, the county then turns around and takes care of their local services, their policemen, their firemen, your teachers, the guys who plow the road, etc. Now, how a county determines their property tax rates is contingent upon the county's budget for that year. Now, to keep the numbers simple, because math can scare me sometimes, but at the same time, 1 million, 100 million county assessed value for all of the real estate. Property tax rate is now at 1%. So again, if the home values is 100,000 equals a $1,000 tax bill. Really, in the grand scheme of things, why or how the county determines the property taxes really isn't important to me and in my ability to make a decision on a good deal or not. But I thought it was important for you guys. Okay, what happens if the property owner does not pay their annual property taxes? A few different things, okay? But you also need to understand, like I mentioned before, the county relies on this property tax revenue to function. So if property taxes weren't enforced, no one would pay their property, obviously. Okay? Now let's talk about tax liens. There are 3 property tax enforcement systems in this country. 3. Okay, we're going to talk about all 3 here, but we're going to spend some time here talking about the tax lien system first. Remember, lien, when you see lien, think interest. When you see deed, think property, I guess. Tax liens, tax deeds, and redemption deeds are enforcement methods for collecting delinquent properties. Now, in a tax lien state, the county is going to issue a tax lien against the property. Now, understand, a tax lien is a legal binding contract between you, the investor, and the county. Okay, this is not an IOU to the homeowner. The homeowner cannot sell their property during this redemption period. They cannot transfer the deed of the property. They cannot do anything with that property until those back taxes are taken care of. can lead to foreclosure. Delinquent taxes equals more penalties. When we're late on our bills, class, usually there's some fees associated with that. When we are late, same thing applies here. In this case, you got to pay interest, and a lot of interest at that. Now, the county is going to hold what they call a tax sale, where liens are sold to the public, and investors are invited to come out to these different auctions. Now, prior to the internet, you had to attend these auctions in a live environment. Now, a few different things are going to happen in a tax lien environment at a tax lien auction. There's two different types of bidding processes out there. The most common in a tax lien environment is going to be a bid down the interest rate style, meaning that if the interest rate in this case starts off at 18%, Florida's 18%, Jersey's 18%, Illinois is 18%, they're going to bid that down to whoever's willing to take the lowest percentage. One of my students called me yesterday. Said that he purchased about 25 tax liens in Maricopa County at the auction. Wasn't at that 16%, but he was floating right around 9 to 13%, which is still fantastic. So the county is going to hold that. Two things are going to happen on the day of the sale. Number one, the lien begins accruing interest. Okay, this is after we purchase the tax lien, and then the redemption period is going to begin. Now, after purchasing the tax lien, one of two scenarios are going to happen. Remember, we're going to call our property owner Joe or Bob. Okay, let's call him Joe for this instance. Now, let's say Joe, he does pay the county. Okay, when Joe pays the county, the lien is then removed from the property and life goes on. Number two, Joe doesn't pay the county. Okay, if Joe doesn't pay the county, then he's going to get foreclosed on. Now, this is important to understand. This is a way that you can acquire free and clear property on a tax lien certificate. So number one, the property owner pays. The county then turns around and writes us a check within 5 to 10 business days. Number two, if the property owner doesn't pay, the lien is then used on the property. Okay? So again, scenario one, the property owner pays. Scenario two, if the property owner doesn't pay, the county government is then going to initiate that foreclosure process, and you as the new primary lien holder on that property gives you first right to ownership after that. Now keep in mind, people always ask questions. Well, what about a mortgage? What about a bank? Keep in mind, any other lien holders throughout this redemption period have been notified more than once that there is a tax lien on the property, and that if they don't pay what is owed in delinquent taxes, then the county's going to initiate that foreclosure process. Okay, so again, any other lien holders on that property, if there's a first, if there's a second, your tax lien takes precedence above and beyond any other lien on that property, which makes, again, our investment secure because we're always going to get paid.